What you believe matters. And we all have things we believe about life, whether we think very much about it or not, and whether we have religious beliefs or not. What you believe sets the course of your life. It informs your decisions and shapes you as a person. Here's an example. If you really believe that the purpose of life is to get as much self-gratification as possible, you'll fill your life with activities that bring you the most pleasure. Various sexual experiences, getting high, or just buying things or experiences that seem to make you happy. So indulge me with giving you a few more examples. If you believe that the whole world is out to get you and to take advantage of you, then you're going to live a protected, guarded, unloving life, and you may be out to get others first. If you believe that all of life is empty and meaningless and hopeless, then you're going to numb your pain and try to escape the depression. If you believe there's no God and that life can be answered just by human thinking, then you're going to trust in research and studies, and you're going to dismiss the Bible. If you believe that all of life is suffering caused by your desires, then you're going to renounce your desires and you're going to change your perceptions. Here's what I want you to remember. We all have a view of how we think life works, and what we believe determines how we live. So give that some thought. Give that some thought today. Get alone and think honestly. What do you really believe about life? Now, let me go on to say that Christians too have a belief about life, and it directs our actions, our thoughts, and what we do. The Bible gives us commands and principles, and we follow them. The Bible shapes and forms our behaviors and our attitudes. But here's the thing. Christianity also offers something additional. All the while that we are obeying and following principles and living out the gospel, God is doing something within us. There's rebirth, an inner change, renewal, because it's not just what we're doing, but God is doing something in us as well. The book of John, there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The book of John gives an eyewitness account of Jesus' life. And the author refers to himself as the disciple that Jesus loved. And he gives us the purpose for writing this book. He says this. He says he wrote about the signs that Jesus performed so that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. That by believing you may have life in his name. John wants others to believe so that they can have real life. It's that absolute fullness of life, genuine and lasting forever, that he wants us to have. It's fellowship with the Father and with the Son, Jesus Christ. It's the indwelling of the Holy Spirit and the control of the Spirit. So that's what John wants us to have as we believe. Now, let's look back. That verse was in the 20th chapter of John, but let's go all the way back to the first chapter of John and read some verses here. And I want us to come out of this with a couple of things. I want us to see to the one that John is wanting us to believe in. And let's just take a moment to consider, what does it mean to believe? So John chapter 1, first 5 verses. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. So, we have John talking about Jesus Christ when he refers to him as the Word. In the beginning was the Word. That's referring to Jesus Christ. And we see that as we get down into verse 14, because he goes on to say, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. Now, who was that? Well, that was Jesus. Jesus was God, became flesh. And John affirms immediately in these first verses of Christ's divinity, that he was God. He says he was present at creation in the beginning of time. In fact, to go even further, he says that through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. It takes an all-powerful being to make something out of nothing. And that's what Jesus Christ did. Have you heard that saying? Out of nothing, nothing comes. Unless, of course, you're outside of time and space and you're all-powerful. Then you can create out of nothing the universe. And Jesus was there in that moment, eternal God creating. And then we hear that the Word was with God. And what does it say? The Word was God. John starts up right here in the very beginning and he says, Jesus Christ was God. And that's what we have in the incarnation. As we celebrated just last week when we talked about the announcement of the incarnation to Mary. God came in the flesh. He became human. One time, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He was going up there for one of the festivals, and it was a Sabbath. So he went to this place. It was a pool. It was called the Pool of Bethesda. And there were many people there that had disabilities. And there was one man in particular with a disability that he had had for 38 years. And Jesus said to him, do you want to get well? And then Jesus said to him, get up, pick up your mat, and walk. And at once the man was cured, and he picked up his mat, and he walked. Guess what? The religious leaders did not like that. And they began to persecute Jesus because he had healed on the Sabbath, but more than that. So Jesus in his defense said, my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. And because of this reason, the religious leaders tried all the more to kill him. Not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. Jesus Christ, the one in whom we believe, is God. He goes on here to say, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. Just exactly what we were referring to just a moment ago, this absolute fullness, this genuine, lasting forever life. And it is his life imparted to us. It's not something we earn. It's not something we work for. Not by works of righteousness, which we have done, but by his mercy has he saved us. And that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. And when we believe, we are believing in Jesus, divine God, all-powerful, who is life-giving. Let me go on down to verse 9. I'm going to read 9 through 12 here. The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. So let's just take a moment here to determine what it means to believe, because there's different phases or different levels of belief. First of all, we can say that there is just believing in the facts about Jesus. We believe, a person could say that they believe in the historical facts of Jesus, that there was a person named Jesus, that he was born in Bethlehem, that he died on a cross. And all those things were written about by historians throughout time who were there and who said there was this person named Jesus. They weren't necessarily Christians, but they were recording these facts. So we can believe it just on an intellectual awareness level. But a step further would be to believe the truthfulness about Jesus, that Jesus is the Son of God, and that he died on the cross for my sins, and that he arose from the dead. We can believe that this is true. But there's yet another step to belief that's even greater than that, and it's the crucial step, because the crucial step to believe in Jesus is to believe in personal trust. It includes the intellectual, mental assent that all of these things were true and they happen. But it goes beyond that to the heart and to the will, to the deciding, to the giving, so that the whole person is caught up in this experience called faith. To trust him and him alone for your salvation. And I encourage you to come to that stage of belief just now in your life personally, and put your personal trust in him right now. Which brings us to the key spiritual insight. When we believe in Jesus with personal trust, we have life in his name, and we become children of God. Just what John wanted when he wrote the book of John. And my wish for you today is to believe in the way that gives you absolute fullness of life, and to live that out every day, that reality of what you believe, because what you believe matters.